November the 2nd, 1969. The next morning, Oliver and I attempted to leave the smelters, but the sudden start caused Oliver's side rod to break. He was quite angry and complained that they should have repaired that during his overhaul. Luckily, we were able to find a replacement in the piles of scrap. By the time we fitted it, Arthur had decided to go out instead of us. As he left, we realized that the hail had completely stopped, but it was still extremely cold and wet. Emily was constantly mumbling about Daisy and what happened to her. She was definitely traumatized. It was about 3 hours before she calmed down. It was about 4 p.m. by the time Arthur came back. By the time he did, he was in a very sorry state. There were icicles all over him, and his face was so cold it was turning blue. The second he entered the smelting shed, the ice melted, dumping an absurd amount of water onto the track. He looked like he had seen a ghost. He murmured something about Donald and Douglas as he came to a stop. Toad and Emily desperately tried to calm him down, but it was no use. Arthur just got angry and yelled at them so loudly it shook the metal walls. Arthur lost his voice after that. Clarence and Jerome finally left the cab and they looked miserable. They were the ones to tell us what happened. They had traveled down the line and passed through Abbey, which was destroyed. They mentioned the trucks but did not elaborate. Then they skipped the entire journey from Abbey to Kildane, saying that nothing had happened. When they arrived at Kildane, they scanned the station for survivors, but there were none. Then they heard a whistle and slow puffing. They did not elaborate on their return trip. We tried to calm down Arthur and his crew, but they were totally inconsolable. After Arthur gained his voice back, he talked about Douglas too, and the trucks. He talked about how their faces were completely frozen. He told us that you couldn't even tell if they were alive or dead. We remained in solemn silence for a while, before we heard a wailing and fast puffing. Confused, I got up and jumped into Oliver's cab and drove him backwards, pushing Emily to the back of the smelting shed. The puffing got louder and louder, and we didn't even hear a whistle, meaning this train was not under control. Arthur raced backwards too, hitting the buffers near the metal processing area. Then, Douglas came into view, just as I had imagined him. After the dust settled, Arthur was sitting, halfway tipping off the edge of the smelting pot. Douglas was motionless, and his face had rolled off. The ice all over him had melted, leaving a massive puddle. Emily and Oliver helped clean everything up. We rolled Douglas into one of the many scrap sidings. His face began to rot in the corner. We tried to find out what had done this, and why Douglas didn't have a crew. No matter how hard we searched, we couldn't find anything. Although we did theorize that maybe whatever happened to Daisy might have gotten Douglas. Everyone, especially Oliver, were understandably extremely upset about Douglas's death. We were honestly more worried about how Donald would take the news. Despite all of that, Oliver was adamant on going out tomorrow. Honestly, I was too. The thought of being anywhere else but the smelters made me excited. We just hoped that whatever had happened to Douglas didn't happen to us.